radio and podcasts. Free never sounded so good. Navigating today's real estate market can be tricky. Want to buy or sell a house, finance or insure a house, or stuck with a house and don't know what to do? Florida Talk Real Estate has been your local one-stop real estate shop since 2012. Get the advice you need from your local real estate pros. Here are your hosts, Jim DePola and Johnny C. live on Real Radio.
That's right. It's Jimmy D taking the place of Johnny C today. He's not feeling a little under the weather, so we got to hope he's going to be feeling better a little later this week for next week. But we still got a great show today. We have Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm. Hey, Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Jim. We're back. We're live.
Yes, sir.
It's been a little bit.
Yes, it has. It's been a couple of weeks, so we are back. We are really live. This is 9:01 a.m. on Saturday, July 12th. We got Jimothy, the producer extraordinaire. Good morning, Jimothy.
Well, hello, gentlemen. Good to be here with you.
I know it's been a while, right?
Oh, yeah,
it
feels like
feels
it.
so weird.
Yeah.
The whole last 6-7 weeks, it's like people haven't been showing up or not showing up, or they're sick and everything.
It is summertime.
And I went on vacation, and it was not a vacation at all. I was sick as a dog the whole time I was gone. And of course, my phone blew up, which we're going to do in the shout outs. But we have, I'm really happy that even though that Johnny couldn't make it and Ross had to cancel today because he has a special friend coming into town, we have a special guest, Paul Krasker from Krasker Law, the law office of Paul Krasker. Hey, Paul, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Good. I want to talk to you about a little bit of what's going on in the real estate market from your perspective, but we're also going to talk just a little bit about this whole student loan thing again. We talked about that the last time you were on the show about 3 weeks ago, but I guess there's some changes to that SAVE, S-A-V-E program, where now they're going to start garnishing salaries in order to take the student loan money that's been owed for so long. So I just want to see if there's any relief out there for anybody. And if there is, we want to help them because a lot of stuff is going on right now. We know that for a lot of people, the economy's tight, and we want to help you wind through this. We have a lot to talk about on the show today. I have a creepy critter story, which we'll talk about a little later. We're going to talk a little bit about a trend that I'm seeing that's happening, and we started doing this on the show. Remember about, I think it was October of last year, Mike, we started going into the MLS and saying, this is how many properties are for sale on the MLS. And then we were looking at how many short sales and what piece of that was short sales and foreclosures.
Yeah.
Well, we've been doing that since October, not every single week, but a lot of weeks. And we noticed a couple trends that were confirmed, through the Realtors Association. But now I see a trend that isn't really being talked about too much that can really affect this market this summer.
Okay.
So we're going to talk about that a little bit. It'll be kind of interesting. But first, if you guys bear with me, I want to do a bunch of shout outs because isn't it always true that when you go on vacation, everybody wants you at that point? So
it feels that way. It definitely feels that way. I'm sure you've experienced that, Paul.
I've
finally
been gone for the last 2 weeks, and I'm heading to my office after this. Yeah.
Well, with me, what always happens is the week before I leave, I start calling everybody. Hey, I'm going to be gone for a week. If you need me, now's the best time to catch me. I even send out these mass emails. Hey, I'm going out of town, but I'm not out of sight, right? Just letting people know. And it was really funny. Right when I was leaving, 2 of my customers complained to people that I found out later. I didn't bring it up to the customers, that were worried that because I was out of town, I couldn't negotiate their transactions while I was out of town. And they were both very, very concerned that I was leaving. I'm like, I haven't had a vacation in 2.5 years. Give me a break. You know what I mean? I work hard for everybody.
I think remember, you do many transactions, but for your clients, it's like the one big transaction.
Of course.
So
Sure.
they want the best of you, Jim.
I know, but it's funny. And then
and if only they had a device that could connect people, like through the air, like a cellular type of a thing. If only that happened. Maybe we ought to come up with.
Yeah, we should.
I think that could be something that, again, maybe because they're only doing it once or twice, maybe ever. They don't realize that we conduct most of our business over the phone.
Well, it's so true.
I don't know if you have people coming in. You probably do in your line, Paul, but Jim, like 90% of what you're doing is probably not in person.
Right.
Like maybe 10%
unless they're
in
a buyer. Unless they're a buyer, then you see them a lot more, obviously, because you're showing them properties.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I want to talk about with you, Mike, is that a lot of people, they ask where your office is, right?
Yeah.
Like when I'm talking to them about, hey, you just got to get to Mike. That's the first step. We got to know your numbers first so I can help you out on the back end.
Yeah.
And what I explain to people is that you do all of Florida plus many other states.
Yep.
By the way, I'm going to be doing something not South Carolina. I'm going to be doing something in Tucson, Arizona. In case, I don't know if you have a license here, but if you want to get one, you might have a small one there.
Hurry up with that.
You might have a small one there. So hurry up and get that.
I'm not currently licensed in Arizona. I have to see if the mortgage firm is. We probably are.
Yeah.
And I have to see what their licensing restrictions are. So they might have some restrictions where you need to.
Oh yeah, there's some
states are have a local branch, I guess, like a physical presence.
Yeah.
But it depends on the type of loan you're doing too.
But getting back to working with you, almost everything you can do with you, Mike, directly is over the phone. You don't really need to meet person to person unless they feel a need that I want to just see the guy I'm working with.
Some
which is
people
important,
want to do that.
Really important
this
to do
is
that.
Sure. We're exchanging a lot of not exchanging. I'm extracting a lot of personal information from people. And so sometimes they want to know that, that they can trust you. Right. Mm-hmm. And so you could develop that over the phone. Obviously, I do it all the time, but some people want it face to face. Not that often. I probably the biggest one is when people have trouble transmitting documents electronically or uploading or whatever way. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, okay, let's just meet and I'll take your, especially people who are self-employed with complicated tax returns. Sometimes, you're talking about faxing or emailing or transmitting, 100 pages or something like that. So. But I would say 95% of my stuff can
be done over the phone, and that's just the way things are right now.
Yeah.
There's a lot of agents that do stuff all over the country and the state, and never meet the people and do everything by the phone. It's just the way that technology is now, so you don't have to get as freaked out about it. Both those people, they both went under contract while I was gone, and everything went fine.
Yeah. Did you negotiate? Oh, they went under contract, so you negotiated deals
while I was out of town. Yeah, I negotiated.
And you got them what they wanted.
Yeah. Everybody was real happy so far. I'm knocking on wood, and we've gone through the inspections and the appraisals already for a lot of the things I put under contract when I was out of town.
Yeah.
So I just want to do a couple of shout outs if everybody can be okay with that. I had a lot of really
you okay with
interesting.
I think I'm good, but I need to know the exact number.
Yeah, I need the exact number, and then
it might be 7 or 8. To be honest with you,
we can stop you at any time if it feels they're getting out of hand.
It's like too much, Jim. Enough. Okay,
I'm a little iffy, but go ahead.
I wanted to give a shout out to Roberto and Deidre. They had a really tough case where they had to bring in a judge to get the house sold because the two parties weren't in agreement. I was the court-appointed realtor. We got the house under contract last week. I was really happy. It took us, it didn't, compared to some of the other ones I'm going to tell you about, this one didn't take that long. This one was 38 days on market, and the biggest problem was trying to get people to come into the house. But we got that under contract at a really good price. They just did the inspection on yesterday. So everything's cooking along good for that. So Roberta and Deidre, thank you for letting me get this thing done for you. I know it's not easy for either of you, but we're getting it done and trying to get you the highest price possible for both parties. Hugo, I wanted to give a shout out to Hugo and Carla. Hugo's been a longtime customer of ours. He had a house that his ex-wife needed to sell in Port St. Lucie because now she lives in Denver. And he called me up and he's like, Jim, this house was on the market for a year with the other agent. I need to sell it now. You got to give me a sell it now price, but I don't want to go crazy low. I don't want to give it away, but I need to know what it's going to cost in that neighborhood on this size with this condition. What is the sell it now price? I spent like 4 hours calling agents in that neighborhood. I called it an x-ray of the neighborhood where I call pending, closed, and active agents that are in some type of transaction over there.
Yep.
I politely grill them to ask them all these different questions about the condition of their property compared to ours and everything else. And I came up with a price, and we got it under contract in 5 days after it was on the market for a year. We got 90, either, let's see, we were 8,000 short, 450. So that was like 1.8% off of list price. So an average list price right now to sold price is 5% below list.
And you're at 98.
And we were at 98, right? 98.2 or something. So we did good on that one, and I feel very comfortable. And we almost lost that deal because of commissions. The seller in this case tried to negotiate the commissions as part of the deal, and one of the realtors would not budge on the commission. And it almost turned into a deal breaker for the deal. And I explained to the seller, look, you've been on the market for a year now, right? You asked me to give you a sell it now price. This realtor came in with a very strong offer. You should just give that realtor what they asked for.
So that 98%, if he had gotten 100% of what he wanted, there wouldn't have been a question about the commission, right? So he was basically just trying to even out.
This guy, he still would have, and nothing wrong with it. He's a business guy and he wants the best deal possible, but he would have argued about the commission.
Yeah.
So the commission ended up becoming non-negotiable in a way. If he wanted to take the deal, he had to take it with the realtor's commission fee. I always explain, Paul, that commissions are negotiable now. I make it crystal clear. Commissions are negotiable through the whole way of the contract, really, right? So that
for
can
the
always,
sellers.
yeah. So if there's any kind of countering back or forth, the commissions can be in play, correct, Paul?
That's correct.
And it always was like that, really.
It always is, but you have the buyer's agents who know they're going to make a 3 or a 2.5% commission on a property, and they don't care about moving their buyers.
Right.
So
right.
You've got to be a little sensitive to, if you want it, it comes with this as a package.
As a cost.
Yes. And part of the reason of that is because we are in a buyer's market. If we were not in a buyer's market and we were in that COVID market,
sellers would be doing that all
the time.
Buyers
Agents, I predict, if we ever get to a market like that again, and we will at some point, the buyer's agents are going to get creamed at that point. It's going to be a bloodbath for the buyer's agents.
Yeah.
And but right now, those buyer's agents are very valuable to the sellers. Very valuable. There's so many properties out there compared to the buyers, and you need buyer's agents to bring you buyers to your property.
Are you getting that often, Jim? Like, so since the NAR settlement, that was the big thing that, sellers don't have to pay all the commissions. They never had to, but whatever.
Right.
That was the narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Are you seeing it a lot, or you haven't really? Because since that came out, it has been this more buyer-sided market.
Right. So the Wall Street Journal just came out with a front page article like 2 months ago, and I never got around to talking about it on the show. And they said that
until now.
What do you mean?
Now you're talking about it on the show.
Yeah. So what they came out with, they did a national study of the 9 months we've been in since the changes on August 16th, 2024, about how commissions have to be handled. And they said that all the parties involved in the article, sellers, buyers, the lawyers for the DOJ, everybody was complaining that the commissions didn't drop. They dropped like 0.4%. It went from like an average of almost 6% to like 5.3%, something like that.
For the sellers, you mean?
No, just overall gross commissions, right? It only dropped about a little bit less than 0.5%. And they were stunned. And they're like, why did this happen? And I'm like, because you don't understand economics. If you understood economics, there's a buyer's market and a seller's market. And you're completely ignoring that when you made all these rules and regulations.
But who would have predicted, who has predicted commissions to, like, overall commissions paid to agents to go down?
Oh, yeah. They were expecting agents maybe to make an average of 4% gross. Okay. Right now, the average is between 5 and 6% gross. They were thinking it was going to be 4% or less. They also thought that a lot of buyers were going to have to pay their own agent and the seller wasn't going to have to pay that agent.
That was the big fear, yeah.
Yeah, and that's not happening because we're in a buyer's market. Now, if we were in a seller's market, the sellers have a lot more negotiation in order to deal with that. Perfect example. Remember that house, Mike, that we sold in Jupiter, because you helped them buy a house in Jupiter Farms. And we helped this guy sell his house in Jupiter. And he told me, I was calling everybody and saying at the time, what's your secret number for your house? This is like 2020, early 2021.
That was your listing pitch?
This is COVID. No, these are my phone calls. We had actually Johnny C was actually calling all our people in the database. And his script was, hey, Paul, are you thinking about selling your house? And you would say no. And then he would say, so if you were to sell your house, what would be the secret number that would want you to sell the house, that would make you want? And there's no wrong answer. And of course, a lot of people said, I love my house. I don't want to sell it. That's a good answer. And some of them would say like $1 million, but their house was worth 500. So, they wanted to stay. Well, this particular person, like a couple other people, they gave us a number where I stopped for a second. And I was like, when I heard the number, I was like, hey, his secret number is too low. Right? I can get more than that. So I met with the guy and he didn't really believe me that I could really get the price that he wanted. Now, this is the height of the COVID frenzied real estate market.
So he had no idea what the market was in his neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
So he wanted at the time 450, right? It was a small 3-bedroom, 2-bath in a very nice area of Jupiter, no HOA, surrounded by properties that had bridge access with boats, but he wasn't on a canal. And it was a good neighborhood. And I told him that we were going to put it on the market for 500. And he thought I was crazy that I wouldn't even get 450. And we went round and round. I said, why don't you just give me 21 days and I'm going to put it up at 5. And if we get 450 or higher, will you sell it? And he was like, yeah, if you could get that. Right. And
the shout outs actually might be getting out of hand because we're shouting out a transaction from 2020.
But this is I'm just talking about commissions. Yeah, so what happened in this is that we put it on the market at 500. We had 13 offers in 72 hours. Yeah. And 2 of them were cash. And we took a realtor from Michigan that was a broker who was buying it cash. And the price went up to either 525 or 550. It was crazy, right? So I think I'm pretty sure it was 550, right? So we took a 550 offer on a 500 list price. The guy only wanted 450 at the time, okay? Then the lady was buying it cash. She hired another realtor who was a broker down here to find her the property. She never saw it. So then they called up deep into the deal and said, hey, we're going to bring an appraiser over. And I said, hey, you guys are cash. And she said, that's okay. We understand we're cash. We're not taking away our cash, contingency. No contingency for cash.
Yeah.
But we still want to do the loan. We're just going to get a loan because she wants to buy another house.
I got one happening right now, just like that.
Well, guess what? The house appraised at $425, and I almost fell out of my chair because I didn't think it would be $425 at all. So I called up AJ, the appraiser that's on our show, right? Mm-hmm. AJExperiencedAppraisers.com. And I said, AJ, what did I do wrong in this property? He goes, oh, Jim, I know that neighborhood because AJ's lived down here for 40 something years. He knows every neighborhood. He goes, oh, are you on the water or not on the water? I go, no, I'm not on the water. And I didn't take any water comps. Why would I do that? Right. I would never take water comps for a non-water property. And he goes, yeah, but the water property, the properties on the water over there, even with fixed bridges, really changed the prices a lot over there. And he goes, that's where you made your mistake. So this is what happened in this case. I had, the buyer was livid that they were paying $125,000 above the appraised value of the house, but it
they
was
had a
cash,
contract,
and they had
no contingency,
and they were 50 hard. They had a $50,000 deposit. So, did they buy the house or not buy the house?
Yes.
What do you think, Paul? Bought the house or not bought the house?
Yes.
They did buy the house. And why they bought the house, even though it was 125 large, they didn't want to lose the 50, but more importantly, they were Airbnb buyers. And the 550 worked for them on the numbers anyway. They at 550, they thought the Airbnb numbers worked for them. So she bit the bullet and bought the house. So the guy made way more money than he should have made on that house. Then we helped him find another home in Jupiter Farms that you helped him get the loan on.
Okay.
And that house, I think they got 5% under appraised value. So he bought that one 5% under appraised value, and then he got 125,000 above appraised value on a 425 house.
Yeah, I think the challenge, like even if you're a cash offer.
Wait a second. How did that impact commissions? We got on this.
Well, in this case, if that guy, if it was in today's market and we had 13 offers on the table, somebody out of that group would have said, I don't need an agent.
Would have said, hey,
I'm not paying your commission. Right. I'm not paying your commission. And either they would dump their realtor, which I don't know how they would do if they have a contract.
Yeah.
They'd either dump the realtor, not buy the property, or they would pay the realtor out of their pocket.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to happen eventually with these changes. But it'll only happen when that market is that market. When we slide into this kind of market, the buyer's agents become very valuable to the sellers. And that's the part that the whole DOJ lawsuit, in my mind, Paul, didn't make any sense. They weren't taking any of those things into consideration.
I think the big thing they missed is like, where does the money exist to pay those commissions? And it's usually on the seller side, right? Because it's the equity position in the property is where that's where most of the money is generally. And buyers, especially certain, the majority of buyers I'm dealing with are low down, they don't have the 20% down, right, not the 50% down. They're the low down payment. So like almost every dollar that they're able to put together is going towards their down payment and closing costs. And that challenge will still exist. I remember something Paul said one time talking about like, how do you deal with people who are challenging your rates, right? Or your fees. And Paul said, I tell them I'm a professional. I provide a professional service. This is what I charge for my service, right? Like that's it. And I think agents might have to make that stand at some point. And the people who want to go low on commissions, one way or the other, either they're forced to or they want to, they're going to be paying for a certain level of professionalism, right? And so those agents that are doing it for 0.5% or 1%, when the buyers, are in that market where they have to pay commissions, well, that's the level of service they're going to receive. Right.
One of my friends in Colorado, one of my best friends, he's moving out of the country because his daughter's going to school in Europe. So his family's going to travel out there for the college years and hang out there. It's going to be pretty cool for him.
Glad she gets a little independence during her college
years. I know,
years.
Right? Yeah, exactly. But it is going to be a great adventure for the family. And what ended up happening is I have a service where I can place you with top agents anywhere in the country and also in 44 countries, 44 other countries besides the United States. And that part of my business has been growing a lot. In fact, I've got people closing in 6 different states right now, doing deals right now. One just closed yesterday in Orlando.
Where you made the connection.
Where I made the connection. But I do a lot more than most realtors do in order to do that. You normally see on Facebook. How many times have you guys seen this on Facebook, because you're in the realtor world, where you see a realtor put out there, who do I know in Orlando that's a real estate agent? Or who do I know in Tucson that's a real estate agent? I'm like, really? That's how you're going to take referrals and give them to your customer and say, hire this guy because somebody on Facebook was the first person to make a post?
Yeah.
What I do is Keller Williams has a system. We have about 160,000 agents in the system, and you can go into it. It's called KW Connect, and I can type in the city and on a map, and it pops up the agent activity for Keller Williams in that whole area. And you can go in and zero in just like on the MLS and click on each property.
Right.
But more importantly, I can go in there and say, I only want somebody that specializes in buyers, not selling, condos or townhomes, their production. Do they have a team and not a team? How much education have they done? And I actually vet them and call 5 to 6 agents in the area if they're available.
Yeah.
And then start interviewing them as if I were the customer. And then I usually hope to get 2 or 3 good ones. And then I place them over to you and I go, Mike, here are 3 great people. I've done complete background checks on them. I've talked to them. They responded to me in a timely manner. They replied professional. Their stats are good. If you were one of my relatives, I'd say all 3 of these people I feel comfortable with you hiring.
Yeah, but you don't like your siblings.
No,
right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I don't like them. And then I would say, but you got to pick the one you like the best now because they're all good. So now you got to like the person. And that has worked out so well. And I just closed one in Orlando for Michael and Colleen yesterday. July 11th yesterday. I didn't get to call them, so I feel bad. But they closed on their property yesterday. They were YouTube fans from Scotia, New York, and they wanted to move to Florida.
I talked to them. They bought new construction.
That's right.
Yep.
And they were thinking didn't know if they had to get a loan or not. And they were trying to figure all that out. So they bought their house. We just had Janet and Sean close in East Tennessee, like Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, through one of our agents. We have Kathy is selling her house in West Palm. That's a shout out. We negotiated her townhome. It was on the market like 60 days. We got the exact price that she wanted to get. And it was no inspection, no appraisal, cash.
Yeah.
So that was an easy decision to make.
And I'm working on the Carla's purchase in Colorado. So
you're helping her with that? I didn't know that. That's awesome.
But it's funny getting back to the commissions because
one of the deals died because of it.
Well, but when you're a seller and then you're going to turn around and be a buyer and you want to be shrewd on the commission negotiation on one end, and then if you're going to run into that same scenario on the other side, you could be
complete hypocrisy.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody ever looks at it that way.
It's so opposite. And with that one, I picked Brant Elwood is the guy that I picked. And he's a top agent out there, right? Really great agent. Really liked him. Knew he was the one. Didn't even do the 3 thing. I'm like, Brant's the guy you got to hire.
Yeah.
He did great for Carla. But then when the deal wasn't coming together on one of their offers, Carla's ex, who was involved in the deal, started trying to negotiate the commissions to bridge the gap, and Brant wouldn't budge. Yeah. He was like, no, this is my commission. You signed a contract with me. You understood the contract you signed.
Yeah.
And I'm not reducing my commission. And that deal died. And now they're in the process. Did they go into contract this week, Mike?
They made another offer. So
but I don't know if they went into contract yet.
Yeah.
But they're out there, swinging for the fences right now. And I have people in Tucson right now. I have another person in Scottsdale right now, Scottsdale, Arizona. So we have people all over the country right now working with us and our team. And let me tell you, and this drives sometimes the referring agent I refer to a little crazy, but I don't just refer to them and then forget about it. A lot of agents, and this is what you got to know, what they do is they go on Facebook, hey, who do I know in Titusville, Florida to do a thing? And then they get a bunch of things. They call that agent. They get a referral fee agreement with that agent. And then the agent that referred you out to the new agent, they usually never follow up or do anything. They really don't even talk to the other agent or you again. They're just waiting for that other agent to do what they're going to do. I don't do that. I follow up every 10 days or so. How are things going? I call up the agent. How's the customer? Are you guys getting along? Are you seeing eye to eye? And I don't get involved in the negotiations. Obviously, I don't have a license to do that in their state. But I can talk about customer service and making sure that everybody's communicating well.
Yeah.
And I think it's worth doing that. To me, I'm more than happy to do that. It builds a really great relationship. Tom, who's moving to Tucson, Arizona, I helped. He's the one that had the cat that wouldn't die. And he kept saying, I'm not going to sell my house in Stewart till the cat dies. And the cat took 2.5 years to die. So the property value increased by like 34% while he was waiting for the house to die.
You weren't seen in the neighborhood at any time during that period, were you?
Yeah, that's funny.
Come here, kitty.
Tom would like that so much. That would be so funny.
It's a lot of pressure to put on a cat.
I did a little YouTube video saying the guy made how a cat made Tom $100,000 more than he would have made because the cat hung up forever. So he called me up. He goes, hey, I'm moving to Tucson. Can you help me in Tucson? I go, absolutely. And they said, but do yourself a favor. Buy a really old cat first. Buy a really old cat and see if it passes before you die. You might make $100,000 more. So shout out to Tom. We're going to be helping him next week. Go find the perfect agent for him. And that's the other thing. Tom isn't sure if he's going to move to Tucson. He's never lived in Arizona. So it might be Tucson. It might be this other area called Green Valley, which is to the south. He's not sure, but he definitely doesn't want to be in Phoenix. So we might have to place him with 2 agents. We did that with the Murphys up in Tennessee. They weren't sure if they're going to be East or West Tennessee. So we placed them with 2 agents so they could check out the West and the East. Then they found out what area they wanted to be. We had to politely let the one agent go, and then they stayed with the other agent. So another shout out, Kathy, who went under contract for her house in Somerset and West Palm. She is under contract now to buy a home up in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, with our agent that we placed her with, Carol.
Very nice.
So congratulations to them. We put Cheshire 303 Cheshire, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath pool home in Port St. Lucie under contract. And now Carla is buying a home in Denver with our agent, Brant.
Yep.
And then Mike is going to be doing the loan on that in Denver. So thank you for trusting us on all of that. We finally put one of our problem properties under contract. I'm so excited. This is a former law enforcement firefighter guy. So those are some of my favorite people to work with. I wanted to do a shout out to Brian. Brian's house was on the market 1 year and 9 months, and he was the lowest Madison Green Royal Palm Beach property for like 14 of the 19 months, and we could not sell that property.
That was your listing the whole time?
No, I had it for 9 months though, so that I have a lot of gray hair from that one. And Brian needed a certain amount of money. The problem he had is that the 3rd bedroom was at some point converted into a den. There was no closet. The walls are on an angle. It was very hard for people to conceive this as a 3rd bedroom. The house was in good condition, but we got the perfect buyer for him. We got a single guy coming in who doesn't care about that 3rd bedroom too much. And we got them under contract. We've already done the inspection. There's no appraisal. Now we're just waiting to close. So thank you, Brian, for trusting us. He's going to be buying in Central Florida with us. So when he's done with this, I'm going to be driving up to Ocala for 2 days. And we're going to go find him a new home up there.
Nice.
At some point.
I thought that was Jimothy who dropped in the
little piano, little
because it was like he's
tickling the ivory.
He's a single guy, and then the piano comes in.
And then I wanted to give a shout out to Troy and Caroline and Jerry. They had a house on Singer Island. We just put it under contract to actually last night. We just put it on contract last night. It was a 2-2 condo, fully renovated with a dock. A 25-foot dock comes with the condo.
Oh, that one you've had for a while.
Yeah,
too, right?
we've had that. Yeah, for too long.
So you got that one under contract.
I got almost all my problem properties under contract. I still got 6 more listings.
You should go way more often.
I got another 5 listings coming because 5 people called up when I was out of town, all former customers saying, I want to hire you, Jim, to do stuff for us. So really looking forward to that. Thank you for everybody for trusting us. And if you want to do anything anywhere in the country, we can be your resource. It's free, okay? And you don't have an obligation. If we give you the agents and you're not satisfied with the agents, don't hire them. We're not asking you, we're not mandatory you haven't hired them. It's just say, hey, I'd like to have your resources, Jim, and find out what I can do. What can I do out there? So we'd love to work with you on that.
888-973-7828.
Okay, it's perfect time to take the break. We're going to go ahead and take the break. On the flip side, I want to talk a little bit about this statistic that's changing. I think it could really affect the real estate market over this summer. We're going to talk about that because I haven't seen anything in the headlines about it.
All right, that sounds pretty good. By the way, you can also follow us on Facebook, Florida Talk Real Estate. It's a great resource of information there, and you can get more information on there as well. So if you want, also we got Paul in the studio here and Mike, 2 great experts as far as outside of real estate, but they can help you with that. 80 what's our phone number here? I haven't said 927-696. It's been a long time since I've given that phone number out. Boy, how about that?
That's the call in. If you want to call in live, call
877-927-6969. I wish every time I say that, I think of Dr. Rich.
Sure.
I loved the way that he gave out the numbers. I don't know why.
Way Dr. Rich said 6
that deep baritone, velvety voice. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I miss Dr. Rich.
He had a great way of pacing his tongue.
6'9".
All right, we'll be right back after this short break.
We're everywhere you need to be. Find your favorite show at realradio921.com. Here's the latest with weather on Real Radio.
I'm CBS 12 meteorologist Charlotte Carl. We are going to start to see the showers developing around midday. Later in the afternoon, they will get a little bit stronger, fizzling out as they make their way to the east towards the coastline. We are going to see a drying pattern overnight. Temperatures will still be warm this afternoon in the upper 80s, low 90s.
This report is sponsored by Mothers Against Drunk Driving.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
Hey, it's your boy Johnny C here, host of Florida Talk Real Estate. They're tops when it comes to helping people buy and sell houses. But Florida Talk Real Estate is so much more than that. For 5 years, I've watched these guys help thousands of our listeners with any real estate need. They couldn't do it without their sponsors, who are experts in their fields. Check it out. Jim DePola, powered by Keller Williams Realty. Their team specializes in helping people sell their house for top dollar, and buyers get great deals on the purchase of their home. That's what they did for me and my family, and I couldn't be happier that I hired them for my real estate transaction. Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm is one of our favorite guests on the show, and he is the mortgage guy. Whether you're looking for a refi or a mortgage to purchase a new home, Mike Rauch will get you the answers you need. The mortgage firm is licensed to do loans in Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, and Georgia, and they have local offices that cover all of South Florida. So if you're thinking about a refi or a new mortgage, go to the mortgage guy, Mike Rauch, and find out what he can do for you. The Mortgage Firm, Inc., NMLS 189233, Florida license MLD 78, equal housing lender. The law office of Paola Krasker has been specializing in real estate law for nearly 25 years and has the professional team you need. Upside down with your house, Paul's team can help you conduct short sales, loan modifications, even if you're behind on payments. They also help you with foreclosure defense and bankruptcy. They can even help you get a student loan modification and repair your credit to get the score you need. Paul's full-service team has helped thousands of our listeners, and they can help you too. Trident Title LLC is the largest privately owned title company in Florida. When you need a title company to complete a refi, home purchase, or sale, Trident Title has got you covered. Not only do they offer competitive pricing, Trident Title has attorneys on staff to make sure if you have bumps in the road declaring title that you can get the job done. Beware, not all title companies in Florida have attorneys on staff. Trident Title does and complies with all the new federal regulations released last year. Ross Camaronets, owner of Brightway Insurance, has been helping our listeners get great rates on homeowners insurance plans. Haven't checked your homeowners insurance policy in a while? This is a great way to help reduce your monthly mortgage payment. Ross can also help with renters and auto insurance. Ross is only a phone call away and can usually get the answers you need same day.
Call Ross today at 561-425-6228 or drop by his office at 873 Donald Ross Road in Juno Beach.
So now you know why I'm happy to be part of the Florida Talk Real Estate Show, the longest running real estate show in Florida. And all these sponsors are just a phone call or a click away. Just call 888-973-7828. That's 888-973-7828. Or go to floridatalkrealestate.com. That's floridatalkrealestate.com. And don't forget to use the most accurate search engine to find your new home or ask for a free home valuation because floridatalkrealestate.com has you covered. That's floridatalkrealestate.com.
This is Real Radio 92.1 and 101.7. Real Talk. This is Florida Talk Real Estate with Jim DePola and Johnny C. Got a question for the show? Call us live at 1-877-927-6969.
Hey, there's the number.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Hey, 877-927-6969. We are actually live. We're back. We've missed 2 weeks. I apologize. You know I don't like missing shows, but stuff happens, and it's July 12th, Saturday at 9:39. So give us a call. If you have any questions about anything legal or title, we got Paul Krasker from the law office of Paola Krasker here. Give us a call. We'd love to talk to you. And we got Mike Rauch from the mortgage firm. We're going to be talking about mortgages in a little bit and the down payment and the changes to the down payment assistance programs that are out there. Could talk a little bit about that in just a little bit. Just want to do a couple shout outs to some people. Elizabeth, thanks for coming in. You come in every Saturday. She says, good morning, Mike, and have a great, and
Hi,
everyone, great topic. So thank you so much. Francis, thank you for checking in like you do every Saturday. I hope you weren't disappointed the last 2 weeks. And Linda and Joe, I promise I'm going to be going down to look at your house later today, right after the show, and call you when I'm coming back on the drive back. And Carl from Ireland, we helped Carl sell his house in the Lake Worth, Lantana area about 1.5 years ago. He moved to Ireland. He's an Italian guy living in Ireland. What was that movie? What was that TV show with the Bruce Springsteen guitarist, who was also on Sopranos?
Yeah. Stevie Van Zandt. Little Stevie.
Right. Little Stevie. And then he had that show where he was a mobster and he moved to another country.
Finland or something.
I still think that's what Carl's doing. I still think Carl. Wow. I think that's why he moved out there. I know.
Organized crime. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
So Carl's in witness protection, and you're just throwing it out.
He's got that real Italian accent. He's out in Ireland now. I'm like, you're in the wrong country, dude. No, but he loves it out there. He bought a little townhome. I know he's been fixing it up for a while in this little hamlet. He took some pictures of us to show us the street and everything. Hey, send some more photos, Carl, when you get a chance. We'd love to see the photos. Yeah. We'd love to see the renovations as they're going through. That would be really cool. Hey, I wanted to talk to you. There's so much stuff that's happened since we left 2 weeks ago. There's been changes in the real estate market. There's changes in the down payment assistance program. There's changes on how you check your credit for creditworthiness for loans. Did you hear about that?
Sure.
About
some headlines there as far as the Vantage score or whatever.
We go away for 2 weeks and all this breaking news happens. So let's unbreak it. Okay. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is, I guess since October, I don't know. I even did this on the fly. It wasn't something I started to do. We heard so many people talking about, the economy is going to crash. The real estate market is going to crash. So what I started doing is I would go live on the MLS and find out how many residential properties were for sale. And then I would see how many short sales and foreclosures there were for sale out of that group.
So you're looking at default rates as like on mortgages, essentially, as a factor,
like a percentage of all the homes, right? Percentage of all the homes that are out there for sale. That's how I first started it. So when we started in October, we were in the 40s, right? There was like 43,000 to 45,000 homes for sale, right? And out of that, a little under 400 were short sales and foreclosures, right? It was like 0.6% of the market, and a normal foreclosure market is 1 to 3%. So even if we had doubled that, the foreclosures and short sales that were
still
available,
under normal.
We were still like at the normal
Low
range,
end
or
of
just
normal.
right, the lower end of normal. And then if that doubled, then we'd be in the middle of the normal, right? But what we noticed as we started doing that, and I wasn't expecting this, is we saw the inventory going up. So it started in the 40s, then it got into the 50s, then it got into the mid 60s, like 63 to 65,000 right before we went away. It was in the 60s, right? Almost 65,000 3 weeks ago. When I went and looked, when I came back, my mouth dropped. 60,878 homes for sale. That's more than a 5% drop. It's like a 7% drop of available inventory out there. So we've been seeing the inventory grow and grow and grow, and now it's shrinking, and it's shrinking fast. And you know how it's shrinking? Not because people are buying these homes. It's expired, withdrawn, and canceled.
Oh.
So all of these people, like a whole bunch of people have decided, like in the last several weeks, I'm done.
I'm not getting what I want.
I'll
sell another time.
Right. And I saw that happen in a market that I'm looking at for one of my customers. It's a townhome market with the pool in Palm Beach Garden. It's very unusual where you have townhomes with the pool. And those homes are normally selling, if they're fixed up, between $425 and $470. And then all of a sudden, 4 homes came on the market for under $399 and under. They were fixed up, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, these are like really good deals. They all got snapped up. and then 3 homes that are on the market for 430 to 450, they pulled off. They just said, we're out. So they didn't like that all the other homeowners came in too low, and their houses were very competitive.
Yeah.
So they just pulled out.
I mean, so if you have a small retraction in inventory, like that's a month over month.
But 5% in 2 weeks, Mike, that's a lot. 5%.
Yeah, but
if you take 5,000 homes off the market in 2 weeks.
But you had kind of like inventory growing like more than normal as well, right? You said it went from 40,000 to 50,000 to 60,000. So you're still above 50. You're still above 40.
Yeah, we're not back to where we were. We're not back to where we were.
What was it? That's one where I would look at like a year over year versus a month over month, just out of like what's inventory look like now compared to this time last year?
Well, like Palm Beach County, we're sitting right about six months inventory, which is a neutral market. It's not a seller's market, not a buyer's market. But as you mentioned several months ago, it feels like a buyer's market, which it does.
Yeah.
And it is.
Because buyers are able to negotiate things now that you're not able to do when inventory is super tight.
Do not understand why people aren't ringing my phone off the hook saying, I want to buy a property right now. This is a great time to buy real estate right now. Right now, I'm talking about. I don't care that the interest rates, are in the high 6s. We've been in the high 6s now
all year
for 18 months.
Yeah.
Right. We've been in high 6s pretty much. So the interest rates have remained stable. What has changed is seller motivation and also inventory. So all of those things are in your favor right now.
Yeah.
I remember we had a customer recently that bought a new construction home. They had it listed at $365. They got it for $325. They got a 5%, around 5% interest rate, right? They got a reduced interest rate compared to the market, and $15,000 to help pay their closing costs. So they got more than a 10% drop on the list price, got the lower interest rate, and money to help close for the down payment and closing costs. You couldn't do that 18 months ago, right? The developers would laugh you out of the office and say, have fun with that, right? Go find somebody to do it. And regular people, there are sellers out there that are very motivated. And if they're motivated, they're going to sell their price. They're going to sell their house at a good price and give you good terms so that they can move their property over the other people's property. So I don't understand why the phone just isn't ringing off the hook. Sellers are helping buyers get the money needed for the down payment and closing costs, even if you can't get the down payment assistance.
Yeah, and so I get the message there is one that we talk about a lot, which isn't like, hey, if you're a real estate investor, now's a great time. We're not talking about that type of buyer. This is people like you're a buyer for reasons outside of whether it's a good time to buy or not. It makes sense for your family, your economic situation is relatively stable, your income, your debts, your budget. If that's you and you're kind of waiting for something, whether that maybe your key factors, I got to wait for interest rates to come down or something like that, we would encourage you, if you are a buyer, get your ducks in a row, because it could be now that you're getting more of what you need to get you into the monthly payment or the cash position that you need to land in. You may have more opportunity now to do that, even if interest rates drop, in the next year. Or prices come down. You're essentially looking for the stars to align, but you got to know what all those factors are. And the only way to do that properly is to talk to us now, see what's out there, know what you qualify for, know what your budget is, and then just see if it's there. And then if you need to sit back for 5 months or 6 months or a year, whatever it is, that's fine.
Yeah, as long as you have the plan and you know your numbers and you're ready to pull the trigger when it's ready. Paul, you're so heavily involved in real estate and all different commercial, all different kinds of stuff. Are you seeing anything that's changed over the last 6 months or so? Have you seen big changes in your stuff or not really right now?
Well, volume's clearly down.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are people who are looking for trophy properties at the high end.
Mm-hmm.
You just read about that deal in the Wall Street Journal.
The Manalapan deal?
No, the
$250
one
million one?
Palm Beach.
Oh, I missed that one, I think.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Vacant land.
Oh, yeah.
On the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
People trying to buy up adjoining properties as well. So there are people out there looking for assemblages, looking for big property, a meaningful asset. So I think buyers may be feeling like you're getting close to a trough, and those who have the ability are willing to pull the trigger. You listen to all the great investors in the world, and they'll all be the ones to tell you when nobody else is buying, that's when you buy.
Yeah, exactly.
When nobody's selling, that's when you sell.
Yeah, I think that's I mean, that's a data point that goes towards the narrative, which is like sellers are now giving more one way or the other. So whether it's the price, like these people looking at these properties, these opportunities might be like the sellers might be now willing to let it go for the lowest number they have in recent memory, right? That they would consider,
right. Right. And the ones who have to sell, have to sell.
Right.
To me, I still think we're in that middle area where buyers are confident that it's a buyer's market and treating it as such, and sellers still think they have maybe not platinum but gold, and they're hesitant to sell. And I think that's why you see a lot of people this summer who said, you know what, I'm taking it off the market.
Yeah,
I'll come back for next season, and hopefully the people who had to sell have all sold and the prices will go back up. I don't think that's where we are in the market right now. I think sellers need to be a little bit more realistic on what they're trying to do. But your point about looking year to date, month to month, I don't think that's relevant here in South Florida in the summertime. I think it's year to year is the better evaluation to determine what's going on. I know a lot of clients who just take their properties off in the summertime.
Yeah. Yep.
They want a new list price come October or November, and they'll figure it out when October or November comes based on the comps that happened over the last year.
And a lot of that is because a lot of those sellers, they don't have to sell, right? So they have the option of waiting, and that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I don't really see that. I don't see right now. I don't see how we're going to get these low. I was just talking to somebody who was trying to buy a property. He's a developer from Connecticut, and we were looking at a property in Port St. Lucie recently. And he just really thinks that we're going to get under 5% interest rates like in the next 6 months. And he just believes that that's going to happen. And I'm like,
under 5.
Under 5. He thinks we're going to be in the 4s. And I said, until we had the 4s because of COVID, right? And below 4, obviously. I go, when Eisenhower made the 30-year loan for the GI Bill, when everybody came back from World War II, the interest rates were in the 4s in the 1950s, right? And why do you think that that's a normal interest rate to be in today, in a modern history? And there really isn't any, to me, there isn't really any historical basis for assuming that 4% interest rate on mortgages is what people should expect to have. Maybe I'm crazy, but
especially
I just don't see it.
We got a lot of people out there in the 3s and perhaps even in the 2s right now too.
Right.
So they're like looking at 4 like, you crazy?
Yeah,
but
4.
Crazy.
I'm not wasting money.
Right. But just regular buyers,
around,
regular buyers to think we're going to get into the 4s and it's going to happen in the next 6 months or so. Like by the end of the year, we'll be in the 4s. Even no national economist is saying that. And I don't see how that's going to happen unless we have another pandemic or something bad like that.
Yeah. Look, you also have a political climate where we're doing things we've never done before. We've never had a lack of independence in our Department of Justice. We've never had a Treasury Secretary who says he's starting to interview for new Fed chairs. That's always supposed to be an independent position. And the current president wants those interest rates down and thinks that that's an important piece of his economic policy.
And he will be appointing or nominating, I guess,
15 months.
It's in May? Is it in May?
I don't know. I thought.
No, it's May of next year.
Yeah,
That's
I thought
what I
it
mean.
was.
May
I
of
thought it
next
was
year.
15 months.
Oh yeah, next year. It's past May. I forgot we're past May.
So some people might be banking on that, right? Because once you get a new Fed chair, who's maybe more aligned,
right?
A puppet.
Yeah, you'll see some. Maybe you'll see some. Now, I've heard a counter argument to that, which is it's more than just the chair, right? Like there's a whole apparatus involved.
What is it? 13 members or 15?
Yeah.
I forget.
Right. But if the Fed starts lacking independence,
sure,
and basically bows to the current administration, these people want to stay on there, and as their times come up, they know they're going to get bounced.
Yeah.
And if everybody's acting in their own self-interest, that's sometimes what comes out of it.
And even if you kind of like just, war game that or whatever, if rates comes down, and let's say that there isn't other turmoil or economic uncertainty, rates come down, what's going to happen to inventory, right? So rates come down, buyers who have been waiting for that to happen come out, buyers come out in force, inventory tightens up. What happens to housing prices, right? If you just take that, like everything is rosy,
right?
Mortgage rates come down. What happens to housing prices?
We're going to have a frenzy.
They go up,
right? We're going to have a frenzy,
and so that's why I'm saying, like, you can't sit back and just wait for that moment. You need to have your ducks in a row, and ultimately, I don't know if this applies. Some people are just looking for a good deal, right? Some people are looking. Hey, I'm only going to pay this amount of interest over the life of my loan. Most people are looking to get into a situation that is financially viable and affordable for them, right? So they have a budget. They have features that they need in the home, boxes to check on that side, bedrooms, bathrooms, pool, garage, neighborhood, school zone, all of those features. They also have boxes to check on the financial side, which is mostly how much cash am I going to have to part with, and what's my payment going to be? Is it going to be affordable? And so you need to be in a position where you can analyze that information and then wait for the target to present itself, right? So you kind of, you're looking, you got your eyes downrange, and you're just waiting for the target to come across. And that could be as simple as, I know I want to buy in this neighborhood. I know I want these many bedrooms. And in order for me to get the number I need prices to be here, or interest rates to be here, or the combination of price and interest rates to be here, right? And if you could set yourself up to analyze that on the fly, then you're not waiting for some big moment. You're simply waiting for the house to present itself and to the stars to align financially. And so that's what I encourage people to do.
And the other thing is that, I mean, this is just common sense, but people don't get it. By the time that the interest rates drop, now you're competing with everybody and you're elbowing everybody out. I just went and looked at 2 properties for Chuck and Kathy just recently. They're going to be selling a home and buying a home, and we just scanned 2 properties really quickly.
Yep.
2 days ago, just to take a little bit and see what's out there for inventory when they sell. I have one agent that's just blowing up my phone, begging us to turn in an offer, right? You're not going to get that when the interest rates start dropping. What you're going to be getting is grabbing
they don't pick up their phone.
Right. And not only that, you're going to be like, just give them what they want. Just give the seller what they want if they want the house, and I could afford it, because that's what it's going to take to get the deal.
Yeah.
Now you can negotiate. I'd much rather negotiate the best deal possible right now, pay the 6.8% interest rate, right? And then if the interest rates do go down to 5.5% or under 5.5%, and then everybody's out there buying properties, my value is going to increase of the home I own, because all the other properties' values are going to go up. And then I just go and pay a few $1,000s to refi, right? And now I got the super low interest rate, but I also paid a lower price than all those other chumps out there. And I'm saying chumps in a good way. I'm not trying to be mean to people, but like the people, I know it, but it sounds like I guess I am being mean. But
great.
The bottom line is those people they're outsmarting themselves, and I think it's much better to buy now. And then if the interest rates do change, take the benefit by refi, right? Do you think that's a bad way to look at it at that point?
No, I think that's a great way. I think you have to be comfortable if the interest rates never go down,
Exactly.
that you're okay
Yes.
at 6.8%. And I think that's where some people are getting stuck right now. And you forget Florida's a different market too, because this is the year that we've been promised that insurance rates are coming down.
Ross is saying they actually are,
Okay.
which is nice. Now, it isn't dramatic yet, but Ross is actually seeing that we've kind of plateaued and we're slowly, I mean, it's a very mild drop, but like he just did one where they saved like $300 on the policy for the year. So
Yeah.
it's $1 a day.
I think
But
people are seeing some, it's not huge changes, but some savings in insurance, both house and auto. I think auto rates are also
dropping
slightly.
But this was about the projection, right? It's been a little over 2 years.
And we expected
and
that.
they figured it would take about 2 years to get all those fraud cases through the court system.
Yeah.
And, it would start to level out and more insurance companies would come back into the state and into the market and help bring the prices down.
And there was an article, I was going to ask Ross about this today if he had come in. The reinsurance, Florida got like $2 billion back on reinsurance because we're not getting as many claims as we were getting and everything. So I think that's a good sign too, but I didn't know, and I wanted to ask Ross, does that mean that's a good thing that they didn't use the reinsurance money? I'm assuming that's a good thing. So we are seeing it slow down. The one thing that always bothers me about it is part of the reason why it slowed down is we took rights away from homeowners against the insurance companies, right? And I was one of the people that I think was victimized by insurance companies that wouldn't stand up to real problems at a house and wouldn't do the repairs I wanted. I had an 18-month fight and had to go to court and mediation 3 times.
I mean, I think the whole assignment of benefits, but for people who really do need help in that front, you can definitely still hire an attorney, an insurance attorney who can really analyze the policies, determine what type of, action the insurance company should be taking. And if they're not, then you got a case.
So,
how those attorneys are compensated changed, as far as like who has to pay and things like that. But you could still do that. I mean, those avenues still exist for people.
So if you're thinking of buying or selling right now, if you're a buyer, this really is an excellent time to buy. And if you're a first-time home buyer, there are down payment assistance programs, which we're going to talk about. They're not as good as they were last year.
Yeah.
But there's still some really great programs out there for you. And if you're selling, you can don't think that it's impossible to sell your house in today's market. It is not. You can sell the house, right? You can sell your house and you can sell it in a timely manner.
You can also stand out from the competition in your neighborhood. Like there's little things that you can do to make a big difference.
And yes, like offering incentives or special financing if you have it, but just pricing it right. That's the main thing.
Yeah.
As long as you price it right and the buyers see value in the home compared to the other things that they're looking at, your house will get sold, right? Kathy is a great example. We had her house at a little higher price than I wanted to put it at, right? It was a townhome in West Palm.
And in a competitive price point. I know that because we happen to be looking.
I could say now we were at 310, right? But I really wanted to be at 295 for the list price, but we put it at 310.
Yeah.
We were getting showings at 310. In fact, Mike, you had somebody come over to take a look at the house.
We've got one of our young family members.
Yeah,
to buy their first
which
home.
is so awesome.
Yeah.
So we weren't getting offers though. We were getting looks, but not offers. So I said, look, we really need to drop the price. Kathy was worried because she's a senior. She's using this money to buy her last home. That's the plan, right?
Yep.
So every dime mattered. So we figured out what her line in the sand was. And I said, that's the number you got to put the house on the market for. And most sellers are saying, I don't want to do that because if we put it at the price I got to have, everybody's going to come in lower. And I go, yeah, in today's market, they're going to come in lower, but we're going to pull them up. And the way you pull them up is to be very direct with them. If you give me permission, this is what I would say. This is when I'm talking to the sellers. Hey, Mike, I really appreciate that you gave me a 275 on a 290 offer, on 290 list price. I know it's not a low ball price or anything. It's reasonable based on the list price. I'm going to present it to the seller, but I got to tell you right now, if you notice, we just reduced the price to the number we're at now. And that's because that's her gotta have it price. So I'm going to go ahead and turn in the offer. But if we come back at full, I don't want you to think that the seller's mad at you or being huffy or upset. It's they need what they need, or they can't sell the house to do what they need on the back end, right? And that works.
What's another response that a listing agent might give there? Something like, that's a joke. I'm not even going to present it.
Well, my favorite line is when the offer comes in really, really low, I say, hey, Paul, thank you so much for that offer. Can I just ask you one question? And I'm saying this with a smile on my face. I say that as part of the script. And then Paul goes, yeah, go ahead. And I go, what exactly part of the house are you trying to buy for that number? That's what they say. And then I laugh, right? Then I laugh so they know I'm joking. And then a lot of times that script works out great because a lot of times the agent will like pound their hand on the desk and go, I told the buyer this offer would never be accepted. Then now I know the agent's on my side.
So, but you always would give a counter, even if it's a full price counter.
What do you mean by that?
Like you get your low ball offer or something that's just too low, doesn't work.
Yeah, then
you're always
I would
going to counter and say, hey,
I'm going to call back. Right, I'm going to present it. Then I'm going to call back and go, it's what I expected. We crunched the numbers. In order for her to do what she needs to do on the back end, she got to get 290, right? So if you can give us 290, we'd love to close with you. Your terms are right. We'd love to close, but it has to be at that number or higher. If you want to offer more than 290, that's great too, right?
So why do you have it listed at your minimum number, Jim? That
because
doesn't make any sense.
It works because you know what happens is the ones that really want the home, they buy it, and that's exactly what happened with Kathy.
Yeah,
we dropped it from 310 to 290. All of a sudden, we got way more buyers than we even getting before that.
Yeah.
And then one of them, they really, really wanted the house, and they ended up giving us even though they came in 10 or 15,000 below, we pulled them up to the full list, and no inspection, no appraisal, cash. So it was a done deal right there. All they had to do is get the HOA approval, and they were done, right? And title cleared, and we got the deal, and it's done. And now they're ready to close. The buyers are ready to close. We just had to get Kathy her house, which we did this week.
Awesome.
So we already changed the sale date because we're scaling the sale date back closer, shorter time period, because she doesn't need all that time to close. But that technique works a lot, just to put the price out there what you want. It's your line in the sand, but you can't be huffy about it. You can't be, well, that's the price I wanted. Too bad. You just explain to people, hey, look, this is what we need to do on the back end.
Yeah.
If we can't do that, we can't sell the house.
And as a matter of fact, on the buy side, you can use a similar strategy, which is like, hey, here's our offer, and we need some help on cash.
Right.
So this is our offer. We need 1% or 2% credit or 5,000 or whatever it is. If you can't do that, we got to move on because that's what we got to have. And when you're in a negotiating position and you basically know where your line is and you're perfectly capable of walking away if you don't get what you want, that's a great position to be in because you basically, this is what I got to have. Can't take anything less.
So in this market, price point, for the seller's perspective, price point is almost the most important thing.
Yeah.
To be competitive. Even if your house isn't in perfect condition. A lot of people, they start going, oh, I got to put in the new kitchen and the new floor, and I got to paint the house. I got to do this, I got to do that.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. You just have to price it based on those things. And there are other people, believe me, there are other people whose houses are in poorer condition than your house, and it's on the market at the same price as you. So if we just understand where we are in the market and price it right, you'll get your house
outshine sold. The competitors one way or the other.
Yeah. But if you don't, you're in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And that's why I had houses that were on the market for 9 months, and I don't like that. And it's not good for the seller either. It's very emotionally distressing for them.
Yeah. There's nobody who wants, if you're on the market, you don't want it to sit. Like there's no benefit for anybody if it's just sitting on the market for a long time. Mm-hmm. So you have to price it aggressively. I want to go back to one thing Paul said about the refinance, which is like, if the thing is like just get into it now, and there's the old real estate or the mortgage, marry the home, date the rate, right? Which is it's a cliche, but it's kind of it sums it up, right? Which is you will have the ability to take advantage potentially.
Sorry
about that. Date the rate. Date the rate, Jimmy. Right? That's
Jim
great.
and Paul have
We
to
got
have
two
a
unintentional
ringtone off.
music cues at work. But you know, I think the pressure on people, and maybe this is a pressure in any market, is getting into that payment that's affordable. And one thing is like, what do you qualify for? That's my world. Like, what's the max monthly payment that you qualify for? A lot of people don't know that, but when you're qualifying for a mortgage, you qualify for a payment. So I'll have my limit based on the loan program, the factors, whatever. You should have your own limit, which is your budget. And I think that's where buyers are still feeling the pressure, which is how do they get a home that they want to live in at a payment that is comfortable? And it's almost always you having to give some ground somewhere, right? So either give ground on the type of home you want or give ground on the payment and kind of like tighten up elsewhere in your budget and get this. And you should be prepared to pay that you're not going to be able potentially to refinance in the future, right? Because if let's say rates go down because of the thing we were talking about, everything's rosy in the economy, rates go down, that's going to be perfect, right? Rates are going to go down, housing prices are going to go up, you're going to get equity position that maybe makes it so you can get into a loan that doesn't have mortgage insurance, you know, things like that. It's also possible that rates are going down because of economic instability. And so we have some problems, and the housing prices don't go up in value, don't even hold, maybe they come down. And even though rates come down, it might be difficult for you to refinance because your equity position has decreased, right? Compared to when you bought it. And so you do need to get into a payment that is affordable for you now, affordable for you when the property taxes adjust next year, right? And just continue to be comfortable in that situation. And if the refinance market happens and if you can take advantage of it, absolutely.
You really have to know your numbers. I was looking for a customer yesterday, Mike, and the current tax bill for that person is about $1,500 a year.
Yep.
So I went into Palm Beach County tax calculator on the Palm Beach County Appraiser's website, Dorothy Jacks.
Yep.
And you type in the address of the property you want to buy.
Yep.
And then you put in the price that you're going to pay.
Yep.
And then you say if you're going to homestead it or not.
Yep.
And whether or not you have portability. In this case, it was yes homestead, no portability.
Okay.
It went from $1,534 a year to $6,904 a year.
Mm-hmm.
So that came out to like something like $275 a month on your mortgage payment.
That is going to go up just because of that.
Because of that. And you won't know it until like 8 or 9 months into the loan, right? That's when the bank kind of wakes up and goes, hey, wait a second, you're short.
Well, once the bill comes out in November, and whether or not you're going to continue to have one more low bill. So it's either going to be the November of this year, depending on, there's some factors you should look at, or it's going to be November of next year. But your escrows, just think about it. Forget whether you're doing escrows or not. Let's just say you planned for a $1,500 bill and then you get a $6,000 bill. You know, you're going to have to figure out how to pay that, right? Stretch it out over time or make the lump sum. And you need to save for next year's $6,500 bill, right? So you kind of have two adjustments you need to think about. So that's what happens with the escrows. And so once the bills come out and you have the bill that has adjusted to your situation, your mortgage payment, if you're escrowing, is going to adjust for those two factors. You got a shortfall and you need to be saving more for next year's bill.
Mike, one of our customers, Mike D, one of our customers that you're working with right now, he's buying a home at a very low price point. So the taxes are extremely low because it was homesteaded before.
Yeah.
And I had to explain to him that you're going to be approved on that current tax bill, but your tax bill is going to go up because he's on a very tight budget. And I explained everything to him and explained what's going to happen in the future and what his real mortgage payment will be after the adjustment. And Paul, do you ever get calls from buyers who feel like they were, or homeowners that feel like they were sold
misled?
Like misled or not told that the tax bill can change and they want to like sue somebody over it or complain about it to somebody? And do they have a legal right to do that? Because I feel like they should be told the stuff that Mike and I tell people all the time.
Yeah, I don't know what mortgage company is trying to get people to pay taxes based on the existing tax amount. You really need to go to the what if calculator on the county website, determine what your amount is. I mean, I think the mortgage company wants to do that because they want to know that you have the ability to
How does it
pay.
work, Mike, though? I don't think it works that way.
Yeah, we don't do that.
Right.
We don't do that. So you're qualified, right? So when you qualify for a mortgage, you qualify for a monthly payment. We call it the housing obligation. It's PITI plus HOA. So principal, interest, property taxes, homeowners insurance, and any HOA or condo dues, right? That combined is the payment that you have to qualify for. We have debt to income, whatever. We use the current property tax bill in most circumstances, even if we know, like I can see it in a second, like that bill's a little bit it's lower than normal, and it's because it's been homesteaded for a number of years and whatever. But unless there's something obviously super low, something like a veteran with 100% exemption, right, where they're only paying non-ad valorem taxes, or what some other reason why it's not, obviously new construction would be a good one, right, where the taxes are based on a vacant lot versus something with a home on them. So yeah, we do qualify them with the current tax bill, which is a little bit crazy because we're assessing their ability to pay.
Yeah.
And we're using a number in the payment that's potentially 4 times lower than it should be.
It can be tremendously fiscally irresponsible to do it that way.
I agree.
And Jim and I talk to people about it all the time. I have a document that I've written up that explains what to expect, what can happen with portability. I also would take it a step beyond the tax estimator, because the tax estimator is usually on the conservative side because they start with a purchase price as kind of like their baseline number. What I would do is I would look at the home's current not taxable, the current market value on the home, and apply some sort of reasonable appreciation number, maybe based on last year to this year. So it could be holding flat, it could be 5%, could be 10%, whatever number you think, and then do my calculations based on that current millage rates and what I think the market value could look like when it reassesses next year.
Yeah, and
assuming exemptions go away and all of that stuff.
And the reason why I asked Paul that question, I get calls like that once in a while, right? Hey, my mortgage payment just went up $900 a month, and I don't know what's going on.
I get calls every December and January about, Mike, what happened with my payment? And I have the conversation a lot. I explain why it went up, and I also remind them, hey, we talked about this. Like, especially you, I remember we talked about this because I saw your bill was only $1,500. That was great. It helped you get your foot in the door, helped you qualify for payment. And as a matter of fact, you were able to take advantage of that low tax bill because you bought early in the year. It was homesteaded on January 1st. You're still going to have one more low bill, but you need to be planning from a budget perspective. Your payment's going to go up quite substantially, maybe, $5,000 a year just on the taxes.
Let's switch gears here a little bit and talk about some government programs, because we always try to use programs to help people. So my first question is about student loan, Paul. There's a lot of changes going on in the student loan stuff, the student loan world. And one of the things I'm seeing in the news is they're going to start, what do you call that? Encumbering what do you call it when you
garnish
the salaries? Thank you. I was having a hard time. Garnish people's salaries, where they don't even have a choice about paying back the student loan. It's just coming out of their paycheck through their employer automatically.
Only for people who are in default on them, right? Like, so they're not paying, they're supposed to pay and they're not paying.
Well, but that's true, but that's a lot of people, right? Because they were given the ability not to pay for a while.
Well, the forbearance time period is over.
Right.
So everybody's supposed to be paying now.
Mm-hmm.
And those who haven't started paying, the government wants to send a clear message. We told you to pay. You didn't pay. There are going to be repercussions. And that's going to include us contacting your employer and letting them know that they need to send 5% or 10% every month of the paycheck.
And so my question is can you still use the programs we've always sent over to you to help people still, or are those programs? That's the part I don't get now.
Yeah. So we can still ask for an immediate forbearance, get you 90 days, and within 90 days, get you into a program.
Mm-hmm.
If you're into a program and you stop paying,
Mm-hmm.
then until you get current, they're going to keep garnishing your wages.
But what happens if somebody was in a program where the ability to pay, the one that we use is based on your ability to pay based on your income and everything, and there's a formula.
Income-based repayment.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Income-based. So let's say they're in a different type of program, but that program's still out there and that program can help them. Can they switch programs?
Yes.
So they can. So it would be really smart that if anybody had any kind of student loan issues, to give you a call to find out what kind of program they're in and if there's any way that you can make it better for them, or is that not really a good call to make right now?
Well, first of all, the consultation is free, so
Mhm.
there's no reason not to make the call.
Mhm.
Period.
Mhm.
If we can provide savings for you, then we'll talk to you about the expense of doing it, and the client will have a choice to move forward or not. But the call is free. There's no reason not to have the call.
You got to give us a call. I don't know how little we've had on student loan calls, even though we talk about it all the time. It just seemed like it just went away, like around COVID time. It just went away, and nobody was calling on
Forbearance.
student
You
loans.
didn't have to pay.
And I think it was the COVID forbearance where you were able not to pay. But you got to pick up the phone and give us a call if you're got student loan debt. Why not try to find out what the best program is out there for you? And of course, Paul has mentioned this many, many times. A lot of times the lender you're working with will give you the same number as some of these government programs, but they won't give you the forgiveness that these programs offer.
What's the
over
latest
time.
on that, Paul? All those programs basically the same as they were? You're still on the 20-year forgiveness plan, or maybe the 10-year if you're a
Public service.
yeah.
Yeah, the programs are still out there. What's shocking to me is that so many people missed the boat during COVID, where there was an automatic forbearance.
But you still got the time.
But if you had come to us at the beginning of COVID and got a 0 payment plan for 2 years, all that went into your forgiveness bucket. And there was no forgiveness bucket for the last 2 years. So basically, people are starting out again with interest having accrued on those loans. And 20 years starts now, not 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So you would have been 2 years closer to being done with your student loans if you had just gotten into the right programs at the start of it. And it's still available today. And I've got a lot of friends whose kids are graduating college, and there are a lot of fields that there are just no job opportunities right now. And so you have a bunch of these kids who are living on their parents'
Their
couch,
incomes are still low
enough to,
and they would qualify for some of these income-based opportunities, right? Because the worst thing you could do, and this has always been the case, but now that there's no kind of like inherent built-in forbearance options where you can just like, oh, it's not going to hurt me. Now it will hurt you if you don't pay attention to it, and you're supposed to be making payments. That's if you're trying to buy a house, like that's one of the worst things you can do is to have late payments on your credit report, because late payments, especially recent lates, I don't care if it's a student loan or credit card or whatever, that's going to tank your score. And tanking your score is going to decrease your opportunities to get a loan at all. And perhaps, it's going to affect your interest rate, your mortgage insurance. And so basically, I think I'm hearing all the student loans are in repayment unless you're an active student, right? Maybe
correct.
There's some other exemptions. And so if you do nothing, that payment is going to be, an amortized payment with something, whatever the interest rates are. And you could be paying less than that, meeting all of the obligations with paying less than that standard payment, and ideally getting yourself into a program that does have forgiveness at the end. And it's like, well, why wouldn't, if you're going to be monitoring it, which I'd encourage you to do, why wouldn't you at least have a conversation about it and say, hey, wait, is there something that's helpful for me? And if you're a home buyer, having that lower payment, actually reporting to the credit bureaus and actually have documentation like here's my actually payment is going to benefit you, because whether you have, the big payment or a zero still reporting or no payment, we got to do some calculations on our end. And sometimes it's hurtful. Sometimes it'd be 1% of your loan balance.
Yeah.
If you got $100,000 student loan,
that's
which I see
$500 a month
at 1%. So
right.
it'd be $1,000 a month on the payment.
Takes you right out of the mortgage qualification.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's basically $1,000 less.
Right. Of purchasing
that you could
power.
direct towards your home,
right.
your qualifying payment. You have to take out that $1,000. So it could be 0.5% too. It could be $500. But I guess the bottom line is we're back to, I don't care if you're doing a home, if you're doing real estate, if you know somebody with student loans, you got to get them to talk to somebody about it and see if there's just at least some benefit, some way to help.
And it's a free resource that we've had for over 10 years here on the show. So it isn't like we just started this or anything.
Yeah.
We've been doing it a long time, and there's no pressure. You call up Paul's group. Paul's group goes through all the machinations to figure out, calculate what would happen if you wanted to go forward. And then it's up to you to go forward or not. Right? It's no big deal. They're not going to sit there and harangue you over the phone over and over again. Hey, do you want to sign up? Do you want to sign up? It's really an easy way to find out what your options are and to get the results that you need. And even if the answer is no, at least you explored all your options.
Yeah.
And it's rarely no.
And I think one other thing that hasn't changed much with student loans, it's not harder to get student loans, is it? They haven't made that process any more difficult. Right. So you're still able to, like, you get people with college age kids and all of a sudden they're looking at this and it's like, geez, college is expensive, which it is. How do you pay for it?
Yeah.
How do you pay for it? Well, you can get loans. You can still get them.
So give us a call. And if you have anybody that has student loan debt, if you want to do something, a big favor and make a big impact in somebody's life, tell them that you heard this and that you should call the radio show guys to find out, the Florida Talk Real Estate crew, to find out if they can help you. We've had a lot of those calls in the past where somebody heard the show and then told a relative or a friend, and the friend saved hundreds of dollars a month, and it impacts their lives so greatly. I want to go ahead and take the break in a couple of minutes, but I want to talk about one thing really quick, Mike, and then we're going to talk about down payment assistance after the break. So I read that they're changing some guidelines that now you can count your rent payments and your utility payments as part of your credit score to help qualify for a mortgage. And they're thinking that will be a big benefit to a lot of people that to help them get into home ownership. I also read that even though that the government announced they were doing this, there's nothing in writing saying how it's going to work. And they're using some kind of special Vantage 4.0, 4.0 credit score. And I knew there was TransUnion, Experian, and Equifax.
Yes.
And I've heard of Vantage before, the Vantage score. But this is Vantage 4.0, which is different than the 3.0, which calculates it differently. So tell me in layman's terms what all this means, and will it really affect people in a positive way?
The best way to explain it is traditionally you have your credit scores from the three bureaus. We use the middle of those three scores as your qualifying score.
Mm-hmm.
Your qualifying score is important because it impacts, number one, do you meet the minimum threshold for the loan type you're doing? It may impact your interest rate, it may impact your mortgage insurance. And so it's kind of like minimum to even consider being qualified, and then it can influence your payment at the end of the day. So the Vantage score is just a different score, right? It's still going to be provided from the three credit bureaus. It's just instead of your FICO score or whatever it is, it's a Vantage score. And the Vantage score takes into account different factors for, getting to the result, right? Mm-hmm. So when you do a formula, you have, variables in the formula, and you get different weighting factors on the importance of, say your revolving credit payment history or your mortgage payment history or your collections and judgments. And all these factors go into are you a good student or not, right? It's kind of like that. Mm-hmm. Like, are you an A student? Are you a C student? Are you an F student, right? So it's just a different way of coming to that answer. And then you can now use the Vantage scoring model and the resulting score to see, do you meet the minimum standard? How does it impact your rate and everything? So it's just, the we're now set up so that you can get approved with the Vantage score versus the traditional FICO score.
My question though is that do landlords report that people are paying on time? Like,
Yeah.
Does that actually happen?
No, traditionally, no, right? That's not. And one of the things that's kind of the secrets in the credit reporting world is it costs money to send data to the credit bureaus, right? So if I'm a credit card issuer, right, Visa or whatever, every time I send a bill, I'm sending you your bill. I also send that data to the credit bureau, but it costs me money to do that. Well, why do they do that? Because the credit bureaus provide a valuable service that allows me to assess whether someone's going to pay me back when I send them the money, right? So it's worth it for me to kind of contribute to that data set of knowledge, but it costs money. And so traditionally, no, landlords, community, property management companies, they're not paying money to send that data to the credit bureau. So, there's going to be a new dynamic there. If you want to collect rent data, I think the Vantage score takes into account and weighs, more importantly, trended payment history over time. So the FICO models don't look at like on your revolving credit, do you pay it off every month or do you make the minimum payments? And do you do that? What's your history look like over 12 months, right? Whereas the Vantage model will look at that trended payment history and kind of assess what kind of credit user you are. So even though your balance is high when the bill is generated, right? Let's say, Paul, you probably have a credit card where you get points or something, right? Miles, and you use that card, you just pay for everything on the card, and you got a $10,000 limit, and you're spending $8,000 a month on the card, right? So you got 80% utilization. On the FICO model, that's not an A, right? As it comes like that individual trade, it's not an A plus, right? It's something less than that. An A plus would be if your balance was 10% of the limit. So I had $1,000 or less. So, but Paul's like, yeah, but I pay it off every month, right? I run up $8,000 and I stroke a check. I said, yeah, but what's it look like when the bill is generated? When the bill is generated, that's the data that's sent over to the credit bureaus. So you got 80% utilization. Well, the Vantage score will look at that and is smarter about it. It says, wait a second, no, this guy pays it off in full every month. I don't care it was 80% when the bill was sent. He pays it off. He makes a big payment every single month. So the trended data is more heavily weighted and looked at in that. So rental history, whether it's reporting or not, can it be, they're already kind of looking at rental history as it influences like the credit underwriting decision. But so the Vantage score is just a different model, looks at different factors, and it now is officially able to be considered as a score to use versus the FICO model.
If you have no reporting on that Vantage score, because nobody reported anything, can you start pulling out your receipts to show that you paid your rent on time for 2 years
I
or
don't
something?
think people need to worry about that part because it's the Vantage score is going to have all of the factors that the FICO scores are using. They just have a different result. I mean, I don't know how it's like the ACT versus the SAT, right? It's like just two different things. They generate two completely different scores, but both of them tell you how good you are, of knowledge, right?
Right. But it does frustrate me. Just what you were saying happens all the time to me is I pay my credit card bill the second day, the day after I receive it.
Yeah.
In full. If somebody's trying to decide whether I'm a great credit risk, the fact that I choose to put more money on my credit card as opposed to pay cash is simply because it's convenient for me. I can write one check a month instead of 100, and I get decent points.
Yeah. Right.
So how do they come up with me being it's not B rate?
Yeah, it's not. I don't even think so. I'm using that as a specific example. So let's say you do that with everything, right? Always pay on time, your cars, your credit cards, everything. Regardless of how you use a revolving credit, if you are that person, you're going to have 800 FICO score, right? So the fact that you have 80% utilization, maybe that's the difference between 795 and 815, right? Or something like that. So it's irrelevant at that level. If you're a good payer and you have always been a good payer, you're not going to have a problem with that. It's the people who need to optimize their score for some reason that you need to be strategic about making every single trade line an A plus, right? Okay. And so I need to get to 680 for some reason, and I'm at 640. Well, I have rapid rescore. I can say, hey, listen, pay this card down to this, and that's going to give us this utilization, and that's going to get us the rescore. Or I can say, hey, Jim, you know what? You're going to do a loan 6 months from now.
Mm-hmm.
I know how you use your credit cards. Guess what? Your credit's not exactly where we want it to be. It could be better. The higher, the better, right? Like just in general. So just for now, for the next 2 months, whatever it is, I want you to pay your credit card bill. Use exactly the same. Do everything exact same, but I want you to pay it before they generate your bill. So don't wait for the bill to be generated. Don't wait for the due date. Get the balance down before they generate the bill. And yes, you have to look like, when are they generating your bills? At the 15th, the 20th, whatever it is. Make your payment before, or just stop using your card how you normally use it. So make this last payment and then just, use your debit card for the time being. Because I want your individual trade lines optimized for credit score. I want A+ across the board.
Mm-hmm.
So you can do that. But in general, it's not a problem. Like, it really only matters when you're trying to get a mortgage, maybe a car.
Right. And the funny thing is that your numbers are almost exactly accurate.
Yeah.
And what I figured out is anytime I need to have my credit score utilized for the 3 months before that, I make 2 payments on my credit card.
Yeah.
If the bill is an average of $15,000, I do $7,500 on the 1st and $7,500 on the 15th.
Yeah.
And so they're not showing whenever they deliver it.
It's when the bill's generated.
Right.
That's it. Like once a month. And we live in a world where you would think that data could be exchanged instantly.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like you look at Credit Karma, what they know what your balance is like right now. Like they can see that stuff. But I think that just goes back to, it costs money to send data to the credit bureaus. That's it. So why would you do that more than you have to? Right. So it's just like a fee. I don't know what the fee is, but it's, it's just like when you use a credit card, the merchant has to pay, right? Because they're right. It's similar to that.
Although every merchant I know now has that sign in their door saying we charge 2.9% on credit cards.
They weren't allowed to do that for many years, and then they were allowed to. And it's like, oh, speaking of that, can I talk about that, Jim? I know you want to take a break.
No, go ahead. No, we're not going to take the break. We're going to keep going.
I was at a gas station.
Mm-hmm.
This is my public service announcement. I was at a gas station. Everyone knows they advertise the cash price, right? And then your credit price is
usually
always
10%, 10 cents higher,
a gallon, something like that. So I go in, I'm looking at the difference. I'm a regular guy, 87. Mm-hmm. The difference between on 87 at this gas station, it was $2.99 cash price, $3.99.
Yes,
credit card,
I saw that in Jupiter. Yep,
$1 per gallon difference.
Jupiter
on that.
does
and I was
that.
like, what is going on? And then you looked at their 89 and their whatever, those were the 10 cents. So I'm like, oh, okay, they're doing something. So now I am watching for those. I know which gas stations do it, and those ones I pay cash. The other ones with the normal thing,
there's one on Federal Highway and Indiantown Road that does that.
So it's $10 more.
Yep.
To
every
not
time you
have
fill
to
up.
go inside and give the cash.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Every time you fill up. It's crazy.
Yeah,
when it was $1, it's like, okay, who cares? Now it's $10 or $13 or whatever it is.
Yeah.
I fill up when I'm empty,
Yeah.
I'm not the 3/4 tank guy.
Let's switch over. Let's switch over to the other program changes. Now, we did talk about this right before we took our break, our hiatus for the summer, which was the down payment assistance program called the Hometown Heroes program is scaling back instead of, we thought it would stay the same, but it's scaling back. So that program originally was only used, the reason why they called it Hometown Heroes was to help local
first responder, police, fire,
government workers,
teachers,
some hospital workers and things like that, to allow them to have affordability in homes. And they were giving up to 5% of the loan value back to help pay for down payment and closing costs. And it's a great program.
Yes.
Then over the years, they actually expanded it to more professions. And by the 3rd or 4th year, I think it was like basically anybody. It was the 3rd year.
The 3rd year of the program. So they're like, well, this is a really great program. Look at this down payment assistant. It's popular, like where they're using all of the funding throughout the year. And the idea was, how can we make this expand it? Let's expand it so more homeowners can take an opportunity. And so they wrote it into law. Well, actually, the 3rd year, they increased the professions from just like your first responders to more in those fields. It was still like medical, but
include like chiropractors and chiropractor assistants that started spending that dental things.
It just expanded. So it was like, okay, that's great. We're going to expand the number. Then they put into law. They actually wrote the Hometown Heroes down payment assistance program into law, and they opened it up to all first-time home buyers.
As long as you're working for a Florida employer,
in
right?
Florida for a Florida-based company. And there was some nuance. They've kind of like, filled in what that means exactly. And they said it's going to evergreen. It's going to fund, it's going to refund every year. So there's not like a decision to be made. It's going to get funding. Now, they didn't set the exact amount, which is what we ran into this year. But they opened it up. And so even though they funded $100 million, the funds, once you open it up to everybody, were used very quickly, right? So it was more money. Did it help more families? I don't know, because the money ran out quicker, right? So it helped a lot of families, but you had a window of opportunity about a month and a half, 2 months before kind of those funds were exhausted. And so we knew that, and we've been talking about it because we anticipated it's going to fund, it's going to be available. If you want to be there, like you need to be getting into contract now. And so there was a lot of stuff in the legislature trying to figure out how much to fund and what to do. And so at the end of the day, they funded it $50 million instead of $100 million.
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't even hear that yet. They cut it in half.
I think DeSantis signed that. He's yet to sign off on this latest development. So they funded it $50 million. Because of that, they made the decision to scale back the pool of eligible borrowers. So it's no longer just first-time home buyers. It is back to some pool of professions. So it's a profession-based thing. Seems like they're tightening it up. So it might be more like the first list of professions than the second list of professions.
Police, firefighter, government workers,
responder, EMS,
that
stuff
kind
like
of
that.
thing.
They've yet to come out with all of the categories, right? That's still in place.
So the program's still not out.
Yeah,
they're not even out yet.
Yeah, they're
hoping
hoping
they normally start July 1st.
Yeah, they're hoping to have it here done by the end of this month. They're just waiting for the list. So there's kind of like, if you're in the list of professions, that's great news for you, because even though they cut the funding from 100 to 50 million, that 50 million, even because the pool of eligible borrowers,
it's going to last longer.
It lasts a lot longer. Yeah. So we basically might have even a full year, maybe 6 months, something like that, of eligibility, funding eligibility.
So just to share a personal thing, I'm going to be buying something this summer, and I could have qualified for that program, the Hometown Heroes program. At the time, as a first-time home buyer, because I haven't owned a home in 3 years. But now I can't use that program because I'm not a government worker and I don't fit in the employment classifications.
And real estate agents, you guys aren't going to be on the list.
No, we'll never be on. Yeah, we won't be on the list. So what will happen is I'm probably going to use the Florida bond if I use one at all, I'll use the Florida bond program,
which would be $10,000 instead of 5% of a loan amount, up to. You were never getting 35,000, but it's up to 35,000.
Right.
But you were probably in like the 20-something thousand range. So you basically have cut your DPA funds in half.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The down payment assistance is going to be about half of what I could have got if the Hometown Heroes stayed where it was. So people need to understand this when they're trying to use the programs, and they also need to know, just because the Hometown Heroes might not be for them anymore, there are other programs out there they can still use with different professions.
Yes, there are. And even with this one, there's talk. It hasn't been set in stone, but one of the DPA programs through Florida Housing has always been a repayable second. So instead of the DPA grant that kind of just sits there attached to the home and it's repayable if you sell the home or refinance, this one actually has a payment plan. Like, so you're almost like a home equity loan or something like that, where you're borrowing it, it's helping you to cover costs, but you're paying it immediately over time, right? So it's $70 a month or $300 a month, whatever it is. You couldn't ever stack those together, right? You couldn't do the 10,000 and the repayable second.
Right.
So there's some talk of being able to combine the 10,000 and the repayable second to maybe make up for what you could have gotten with Hometown Heroes. And if cash is the biggest problem, and not so much debt to income, but cash, that could make the difference for people, because you can handle the additional payment obligation. You just didn't have a way of putting together the necessary funds. So that's something we'll be looking at if it comes to fruition. I don't know how I feel about it. Like, I haven't thought about hey, does it really make sense, or get the money somewhere else, right?
Yeah, and Mike has always said that sometimes there were certain down payment programs. He's like, look, if you need it and you got to have it, do it. But if you could avoid doing it, you'd be better off not having it. He's always been very upfront and direct about that. And if you need it, you need
example.
it.
I've got one, Jim, right now. I've got people who are just into contract and they could have used the down payment assistance. We were planning on doing Hometown Heroes, but that went away. And so then we're back down to just 10,000. And so the question for them is, do you do the DPA 10,000 with the rate right now in an FHA, that program is 7%. Or they happen to be buying a home in a specific, in an area where it's eligible, not only for the mortgage firm's Smart Start initiative, our community lending initiative, it's eligible for another one. That other one allows you to do a low down payment conventional loan, say 5% down, with no mortgage insurance, right? So if you can get community lending initiative that has a lower interest rate that allows you to do 5% down conventional with no MI and our Smart Start incentive, we're talking about $300 a month difference on the payment. And so it's like, do you do the DPA and have the 10 grand, or you do this other program and have your payment
$300 a month for 30 years?
And you got a pretty good break even there. And as long as you don't, if you can come up with the 10K some other way, either from the seller, from family, or your own funds, whatever it is, like that's something that's nice to
in
be
3
looking
years
at
you're
and
making
considering.
more money than the 10,000.
Yeah.
In three and a third years.
What's really critical is that you have somebody in my position, the professional, who's looking at these angles for you and kind of spotting those opportunities. So at least like, hey, we could do it this way, or we could do it this way. You guys, let's make the choice that makes the most sense.
And if you were using, let's say, the 10,000 Florida bond DPA, where it's 10,000 flat amount, can you get seller concessions from the seller to like make up the difference that you would get from the Hometown Heroes program in a way? So like, could you get 10,000 from the Florida bond and have the seller give you another $10,000 to help pay for down payment and closing costs?
Yes.
You're allowed to do that?
You could definitely use seller concessions. Now, there's going to be some limits. There's number one, there's limits on how much you can get from a seller. Number two is you have to meet what's called a minimum required investment. So if your down payment is 3.5% with FHA, you have to be coming in with that 3.5%. You can't get that from the seller. So you can get it from down payment assistance or your own funds, but you can't get it from other interested parties. So there's some nuance there. But in general, I would just say get as much from the seller as you can, and we'll figure out how to utilize it.
We did that with one of our customers recently. And the thing is that what people have to understand is that you need people like Mike that understand how this all works to try to get the best benefit.
Yeah.
And right now is a good time to, when if we were talking 18 months ago about trying to get sellers to give you back a certain amount of money, you couldn't really count on that at all, right? It's like, well, who's going to do that for you? But now there's a lot of sellers that would end up doing that for you.
Sure.
It's really interesting. I just noticed that that townhome community I was checking into for one of my customers was they would have ended up getting like $22,000 from that Hometown Heroes, but now it'll only look like 10. But you probably could get the seller to come back with the other 10, 12,000. Probably in that one, probably you can get the seller to give you the $12,000 credit,
or at least some of it.
Yeah, and it can make it happen. It's a big deal. So these down payment programs, assistance are changing, but it's still a great time. We started that summer buyer's guide back in June, where we've been talking about all these programs. So if you want to check out past shows, all you got to do is go to the iHeartMedia app and go to Florida Talk Real Estate. You'll see the headline saying summer buyer's guide. We had 2 shows in a row, I think in June, that had that. And we talked all about the down payment assistance programs and techniques for buyers to get the best deal. A lot of that hasn't changed, but there have been a little tweaks because we didn't expect the Hometown Heroes not to be funded fully the way it was.
And if you are, just to reiterate, if you are in one of those traditional like hero categories, it's been good news for you and your community, your coworkers. So it's something you guys should still be discussing at the water cooler or whatever. Is like, hey, this we don't have to move quite so quick. We're going to have this fun. The fun.
Yeah, there'll be some breathable time where you don't have to rush.
Yeah.
Because the way we were doing it, Paul, we were saying like in mid-June or maybe even early June, you got to get pre-approved right now and get me into contract. It's like get somebody into contract as soon as we can, and then close like the second week in July. That way, you're guaranteed to get the money.
We kind of landed like, bring me a contract by the end of July if you want to be guaranteed to get your reserve.
But
fund.
now
so like a month, right? A month of reservations.
So you really had to be prepared. Now you have a little bit of a break, but that doesn't mean you should be lazy. You should just do what we say to do. Know your numbers, get ready. And then when the right house is there, then you pull the trigger. But you have to have your gun loaded, ready to pull that trigger before that house pops up and you fall in love with it.
I mean, knowing your numbers is so critical, at least in my view, right? Maybe I'm different than everyone, but knowing your numbers as you're making the decision on like, do I want to buy this house or not, is really important. And some of these community lending stuff that we're looking at, like, you don't know until it's the house, right? You're not like out there only searching certain census tracts or whatever. You're just kind of looking for the homes that work for you. But when you're making an offer and you're kind of thinking about, well, what's my max offer that I can do on this thing based on the payment and the cash, like, you got to be able to know that stuff, and you got to be working with someone who can spot it and say, hey, wait, actually this one might be eligible. Let me check it out. So on this one, you're going to have a lower rate. You might not have mortgage insurance, whatever it is. That's going to influence your max allowable offer. What do you call it, Jim? The
Maui Wowie.
The Maui Wowie. So,
and what's the Loey Noe? The Loey Noe was the other one.
We never
I came up with
that one.
Maui Wowie. I stole that from Thayer Merrill from Flip This House, but it's maximum allowable offer. So I added the Maui Wowie part, called it Maui Wowie. And then I came up with the Loey Noe for sellers, which is the lowest number that you'll take. That's your Loey Noe. So everybody went crazy when I came up with that one.
It's just, it's Maui Wowie's okay.
Yeah.
Loey Noe.
I like the Loey Noe. So, I one of the things that's happening, this is an unusual trend that I've never seen, maybe during the short sale crisis, but I don't think so. We're having more people back out of contracts now than I've ever seen before. The buyers quit, the sellers quit. They're in contract, right? They're in contract to sell the house with the other party, and the deals are falling apart left and right, and it's happening all over the country. I've never seen this many deals fall apart.
When people feel like they're not getting what they wanted from the start. So maybe like as a seller, you had, you went on list, it's sitting on the market longer, you've done a price reduction, like every one of those things is a haircut, and then you got an offer, but they wanted a seller credit, and that's another haircut. And so you kind of like from the beginning, getting less than what you expected or anticipated. And then that makes all the negotiations more stressful, more tense, and you can get to a breaking point because you've already gone through turmoil to get to where you're at. I think, and buyers are feeling the same way. Like they've been out looking at homes, maybe they made multiple offers, they had inspection issues. So if you have that kind of experience, you can get to a breaking point.
Oh yeah, and even Kathy, the person that's moving to South Carolina, we only had her house on the market like 30 days, right? Which is not a long time in today's market.
Yeah.
And she was already ready to give up. I don't have to, she was saying things like, I don't have to sell my house. I could stay here if I want. She didn't really want to, but she had that in her mindset that if I don't get what I need, I'm like, I totally get. And I was like, Kathy, I'm not putting any pressure on you at all to sell. If you don't get what you need, you're not selling. And she actually sounded relieved. And she's like, thank you, Jim, that you're listening to me.
Yeah.
Right. And then like a week later, we got it under contract. But people are that edgy right now, 30 days, and they're freaking out that they're not getting it. Are you seeing people like that, Paul, in when you're doing real estate transactions right now?
On both sides.
Both sides, right? Yeah.
You get the sellers who say, I'll take that price, but don't come back to me for a nickel in the inspection period. And they know the roof is old. They know that they've got a window that was leaking. They know they've got 2 older ACs.
They've already priced it in, right? That's why you're getting the price you're getting. Right?
And which is great. But say that up front.
Yeah.
To the other side, not just to me.
Right.
And know that that's what it's going to be. In 10 days, you're going to say yes or no. You're not going to come back to me and say, I need 8, I need 12, I need 15. and the realtors are not negotiating down like they would. So if somebody says that to the listing agent just goes back and says, yeah, no credits, period. That's it. We're done. In years past, would the listing agent have turned back to the buyer's agent and say, look, I know we found $4,000 that needs to be addressed because you can't get a mortgage without it. Let's both go in for 2 each. I don't see that as common anymore.
I mean, deals for agents themselves, I mean, the total volume per agent is probably down than it has been. So every deal is important as far as getting paid, right? your income.
That's so illogical because the more deals that cancel,
yeah,
the fewer deals you're going to do.
Yeah. There was an article on Yahoo Life talking about the 8 most common reasons why sellers back out of the deal. And I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting because I couldn't come up with 8 myself. They said when the sale is contingent upon a new construction home, and the construction home doesn't build in time, that's one of the top reasons why the deal falls apart. I was a little surprised about that because I didn't think it was that common.
I mean, yeah,
maybe it's other parts of the country or something, but I don't really see that too much.
It seems like just poor logistics.
Another reason
doesn't seem right. When they were building my house, they gave themselves a 2-year window to finish it in. Right. So that seems kind of
odd. This is one of the things that's my perfect seller buyer example. The seller's deal falls through on the home they're buying. So they're going to become homeless if they sell their house and they try to back out of the contract. You better fill out your paperwork right in order to make that happen, or you could be sued for specific.
I mean, that's similar
to the buyer.
To the first one.
It is similar. Inspection repairs, which is what Paul was just talking about. The sellers have this idea: if I'm going to take that price, I'm not giving you a dime.
Yep.
And maybe that isn't communicated correctly, and then the deal falls apart. Misunderstanding the true cost of selling. This just happened recently to one of my customers.
I just had one too.
Oh, is that yours? Maybe you're the one that told me that. You told me that.
With the pace lien?
Yes. Yeah, so tell me about that, because they didn't know what they
have the home listed. They got a full price offer and they kind of had a verbal agreement. And then, and only then, did they work up a seller net sheet with the title company. And the title company's like, okay, here you got this, and you got this and this, and then the $25,000 pace lien that they did, right? The Y green windows and doors, which were actually a really nice feature of the house that kind of made the difference between making the offer or not. They're like, whoa, brand new hurricane
impact
glass everywhere. Great. Yeah. So the sellers, I'm not surprised. I've seen that before, where they don't realize that the pace lien has to be satisfied if they're going to sell to a financed buyer. And so it changed. You know, they're going to owe money at that price versus walking away with any proceeds
as opposed to being net positive. Yeah,
I'm like, whose fault is that? Is that the agent? Is that them for not knowing?
My opinion, it's definitely the agent's fault. The seller should know too. But I can't believe how many people that have Y green that don't know that they have to pay that lien off when they close. And the problem that they have is, and I found this out from working with a bunch of customers last year that had this, the salesmen that are selling them the products are saying, don't worry about it. They can assume it. Yep. It'll stay with the home. They'll just assume it. Yep. The buyers will assume it. And it's like the right buyer may assume it, but most buyers are not going to assume that.
That was the origin of that type of loan. It's like the whole reason for that was it could stay with the home. But
and then the listing agent never puts it on there that they're offering it as an assumable loan.
Right.
Which is the worst.
Yeah.
The worst is they don't even know about it. They haven't even.
That's even worse. They don't even know even worse.
Like this one, they were shocked that they were going to.
Doesn't that show on their tax records?
It does, but somebody's got to look at it.
Oh, okay.
Like, and I don't know, Jim, how many people are doing like a net sheet, a seller net sheet that has some sort of level of lien search, right? Like, I don't know. Like, are you doing that early in the process, or are you only doing that after you've?
Well, we do it thanks to Trident Title because they got a great app. We do the seller net sheet when we're sitting there taking the listing.
But does that account for a pace lien?
Well, you asked. Do you have any kind? We actually have a form to ask them all those questions first.
I've had to die on that solar panel.
Yep. Yeah, solar panels are the worst.
Yep.
And the criminal salespeople.
Yeah, they are. It's like aluminum siding people. It reminds me of that. Hey, I know we only got 1 minute left. I'm not Johnny C. So everybody, we're back. We're going to be back next week. We're not taking any time off anytime soon. Paul, thank you so much for coming. You're welcome all the time. Mike, you're key part of the show, so you got to come back.
All right.
You have to come back.
All right.
Okay. You can come back when